Part 1. The Modern Paradox. Welcome, seekers of profound truth, to Philosophy Coded. Today, we embark on a journey into the very heart of what it means to be human in the modern age. A journey that will challenge your deepest assumptions about freedom, success, and the subtle, insidious forces that shape your destiny. Have you ever felt it? That quiet, persistent hum of expectation, the unspoken pressure to conform, to fit neatly into a predefined mold. It's a sensation many dismiss as mere social anxiety, a fleeting discomfort. But what if it's something far more pervasive, a psychological prison built not of iron bars, but of comfortable weakness, a trap designed to keep you from ever truly realizing your own immense potential? Look around you. We live in an era that champions individuality, self-expression, and breaking free from norms. Yet, paradoxically, we find ourselves increasingly homogenized. Our social media feeds are filled with identical aspirations: the perfect vacation, the ideal body, the universally approved opinion. Our career paths often follow well-trodden, predictable routes, promising security over genuine fulfillment. We consume the same entertainment, echo the same sentiments, and often, without realizing it, suppress the very uniqueness that makes us who we are. Why does this happen? Why, in a world that ostensibly celebrates diversity, do we feel this relentless pull towards sameness? Why do we often find ourselves dimming our own light, muting our authentic voice, just to avoid the subtle disapproval, the quiet ostracization, the uncomfortable feeling of standing out? This is not merely a matter of personal choice. It is a symptom of a deeper, more profound psychological mechanism at play. A mechanism that has been meticulously observed and brutally dissected by one of history's most unsettling yet undeniably brilliant minds. Consider the subtle anxieties that plague us: the fear of missing out, the compulsion to keep up with trends, the dread of being perceived as different or out of touch. These aren't accidental. They are the invisible chains, forged by a collective unconscious, designed to keep us tethered to the familiar, the average, the comfortable. We are told to find our tribe, to belong, to fit in. But what if belonging, in its most pervasive form, is actually a subtle form of surrender? What if the very comfort we seek is the bait in a trap, lulling us into a state of mediocrity without us ever realizing it? Think of the modern workplace. Innovation is praised, yet deviation from established protocols is often met with resistance. Creativity is encouraged, but only within the confines of what is acceptable or safe. The individual who dares to challenge the status quo, to propose a radically different approach, often finds themselves subtly marginalized, their ideas dismissed, their ambition quietly undermined. It's not overt oppression. It's a gentle, persistent nudge back towards the center, back towards the average, back towards the herd. Or observe the dynamics of social discourse. Opinions are polarized, and the pressure to align with one side or the other is immense. Nuance is often lost, and independent thought, if it deviates from the approved narrative, is swiftly condemned. The fear of being canceled, of being publicly shamed for an unconventional viewpoint, is a powerful deterrent. It forces us to self-censor, to parrot accepted truths, to become echoes rather than original voices. This is the insidious power of the collective, shaping not just our actions, but our very thoughts. The brutal truth is, modern society, for all its talk of individual empowerment, often subtly encourages a form of psychological disarmament. It rewards conformity, celebrates the lowest common denominator, and subtly punishes genuine excellence that dares to transcend its boundaries. It's a system that promises security and acceptance in exchange for your unique spark, your radical potential, your untamed spirit. And the most terrifying part? Most people walk willingly into this comfortable cage, believing it to be freedom. This is the profound problem we face. We are caught in a cycle of comfortable weakness, a cycle perpetuated by forces we barely perceive. But what if there was a philosopher who saw this coming, who warned us of this very trap over a century ago? What if he laid bare the psychological mechanisms that create this herd mentality, revealing how it actively suppresses greatness and champions mediocrity? Today, we will uncover the hidden mechanism, the profound psychological insight that explains why we feel this pressure, why society often seems to conspire against our highest selves, and how you can break free from its invisible chains. Prepare to confront a truth that is profoundly unsettling, yet utterly liberating. For in understanding the psychology of the herd, you will gain the power to reclaim your authentic self, to forge your own path, and to transcend the comfortable weakness that holds so many captive. Part 2. The Unseen Problem. Digging Deeper. The paradox we introduced is not merely a fleeting discomfort. It is the manifestation of a pervasive, unseen problem that subtly, yet profoundly, shapes our daily lives. It is the quiet erosion of individual will, the slow suffocation of unique potential, and the insidious triumph of the average, all occurring beneath the veneer of progress and freedom. This problem is the psychology of the herd, and it affects everyone, often without them ever realizing its grip. Let us dig deeper into how this unseen problem manifests in the fabric of our society. Consider the education system. While it aims to enlighten, it often inadvertently becomes a factory for conformity. Students are taught to follow rules, to memorize facts, to perform well on standardized tests. Originality, critical thinking that challenges established paradigms, and unconventional approaches are often tolerated only if they don't disrupt the system. The emphasis is on fitting in, on achieving a measurable, comparable level of competence, rather than fostering radical self-discovery or the pursuit of genuine excellence that might defy categorization. The A student is often the one who best adapts to the system, not necessarily the one who thinks most profoundly or innovatively. Think about the relentless pursuit of happiness as a societal goal. We are bombarded with messages that equate happiness with comfort, security, and the absence of struggle. We are encouraged to avoid pain, to seek instant gratification, to prioritize emotional well-being above all else. While these desires are natural, when elevated to the supreme values, they become a subtle trap. True growth, genuine self-overcoming, often requires confronting discomfort, enduring struggle, and embracing the very challenges that the herd seeks to avoid. The pursuit of comfortable happiness, when taken to its extreme, becomes a profound weakness, a refusal to engage with the very forces that forge strength and character. Observe the dynamics of popular culture. Trends emerge and dissipate with dizzying speed, dictating everything from fashion to political opinions. To be relevant, one must constantly adapt, consume, and reflect the current collective sentiment. This creates a superficiality, a constant shifting of identity to align with the latest approved version of self. The individual who resists, who maintains a consistent, authentic inner compass regardless of external pressures, is often seen as eccentric, outdated, or even defiant. The unseen problem here is the constant external validation required, the outsourcing of one's identity to the ever-changing whims of the collective. This problem is particularly acute in the digital age. Social media platforms, designed to connect us, often become echo chambers that reinforce existing beliefs and punish dissent. Algorithms prioritize content that generates engagement, often by appealing to tribal instincts and confirming biases. The pressure to curate a perfect online persona, to present a life that aligns with societal ideals, is immense. This leads to a profound disconnect between our authentic selves and the carefully constructed facades we present to the world. The likes and shares become the new currency of validation, subtly conditioning us to seek approval from the anonymous collective rather than from our own inner convictions. The unseen problem is that the herd does not overtly oppress. It subtly seduces. It offers comfort, acceptance, and a sense of belonging in exchange for your unique edge, your sharpest insights, your most daring aspirations. It promises safety from the discomfort of standing alone, from the anxiety of forging your own path. And for many, this offer is irresistible. They willingly trade their potential for the illusion of security, their authenticity for the warmth of collective approval. This leads to a profound societal stagnation. When individuals are discouraged from radical thought, from challenging norms, from pursuing excellence that transcends the average, innovation slows, creativity wanes, and progress becomes incremental rather than transformative. The herd values equality, but often interprets it as sameness, as a leveling down to the lowest common denominator, rather than an equality of opportunity for each individual to reach their highest potential. The fear of offending, the desire for universal consensus, often stifles the very voices that could lead us to new heights. This is not an abstract concept. It is a tangible force shaping your choices, your anxieties, your aspirations. It is the reason why you might hesitate to pursue that unconventional dream, why you might bite your tongue when you have a truly original thought, why you might feel a subtle shame for your unique passions. It is the invisible hand of the herd, gently, persistently, guiding you towards the comfortable, the mediocre, the safe. But what if this comfort is the greatest danger of all? What if this safety is a cage? To truly understand this unseen problem, we must turn to the philosopher who dared to expose its brutal truth. Part 3. The Philosopher's Revelation, the Dark Truth. In the late 19th century, a German philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, emerged as a solitary, thunderous voice against the prevailing currents of his time. He looked at society, at morality, at the very foundations of Western thought, and saw not progress, but a profound sickness, a dangerous illusion. His revelation, particularly articulated in works like On the Genealogy of Morality and Thus Spoke Zarathustra, is this: modern society, driven by a psychology he termed the herd mentality, actively encourages mediocrity and conformity, trapping individuals in a cycle of comfortable weakness without them ever realizing it. Nietzsche argued that the dominant morality of his age, which he called slave morality, was not a natural evolution of human values, but a cunning invention born out of resentment. He posited that originally there was a master morality, a morality of the strong, the noble, the aristocratic. These individuals, the masters, defined good as what was noble, strong, courageous, and powerful. Bad was simply what was weak, cowardly, and common. Their values were self-affirming, born from an overflowing sense of vitality and power. But then came the slaves, the weak, the oppressed, the suffering. Unable to directly challenge the masters, they engaged in a psychological act of revenge. Ressentiment. This is the core of Nietzsche's brutal lesson. Ressentiment is a deep-seated bitterness, a festering envy that, unable to express itself outwardly, turns inward and revalues the very concepts of good and evil. What the masters called good, strength, pride, power, the slaves now called evil. And what the masters called bad, weakness, humility, pity, the slaves now relabeled as good. Thus, slave morality was born. Its values became humility, patience, compassion, equality, and self-sacrifice. These were not values born of strength, but of weakness. They were designed to make the weak feel superior, to condemn the strong, and to level down all individuals to a common manageable denominator. This is the psychology of the herd. The herd fears the exceptional individual, the one who stands out, the one who dares to create their own values, because such an individual threatens the herd's carefully constructed moral framework, its comfortable sense of collective righteousness. The herd, driven by ressentiment, seeks to domesticate humanity. It praises conformity, punishes deviation, and subtly, yet relentlessly, pushes everyone towards the average. It celebrates the last man, a concept Nietzsche introduced as the ultimate product of this herd mentality. A complacent, comfortable creature who seeks only trivial pleasures, avoids all suffering and struggle, and has no grand aspirations beyond a long, safe, mediocre life. The last man is the antithesis of the individual who strives for self-overcoming, for genuine excellence. This is the aha moment that connects directly to the problems we discussed. The subtle pressure to conform, the fear of standing out, the societal emphasis on comfort and security over struggle and growth, these are not accidental. They are the direct consequences of a pervasive slave morality, a herd psychology that has become deeply ingrained in our institutions, our culture, and our very minds. When society champions equality to the point of demanding sameness, it is the herd at work, leveling down, fearing the peaks of human potential. When compassion becomes an excuse for inaction, for avoiding necessary struggle, it is the herd's weakness masquerading as virtue. When the pursuit of comfort becomes the highest good, it is the herd's fear of suffering, its refusal to embrace the very challenges that forge strength. Nietzsche saw that this herd mentality, this slave morality, was a dangerous illusion. It promised peace and security, but delivered stagnation and spiritual decay. It trapped individuals in a psychological prison of comfortable weakness, where their unique will to power, their innate drive to grow, to overcome, to create their own values, was systematically suppressed. He warned that this leveling down would lead to a society of last men, devoid of passion, aspiration, or genuine greatness. They would be content with their small comforts, their trivial pleasures, and their collective mediocrity, never realizing the immense potential they had sacrificed for the illusion of safety. This is the dark truth. The very values we are taught to cherish, humility, pity, equality, when taken to their extreme and divorced from a foundation of strength, can become the instruments of our own psychological enslavement. They are the invisible chains that bind us to the herd, preventing us from becoming who we truly are. Nietzsche's revelation is a cold dose of reality, a call to awaken from the comfortable slumber of conformity and to confront the profound psychological forces that seek to keep us small. Part 4. The Consequences. The Price of Ignorance. To ignore Nietzsche's brutal lesson, to remain oblivious to the insidious psychology of the herd, is to pay a devastating price. This ignorance is not benign. It is a corrosive force that undermines individual potential, stifles societal progress, and ultimately leads to a life of unfulfilled promise, a psychological prison built by your own unwitting complicity. The most immediate consequence is the erosion of your unique self. When you consistently prioritize fitting in, seeking external validation, and conforming to collective expectations, you slowly, imperceptibly, lose touch with your authentic desires, your radical thoughts, your deepest aspirations. Your inner compass becomes dulled, replaced by the fluctuating whims of the crowd. You become a reflection, an echo, rather than an original source. This leads to a profound sense of emptiness, a nagging feeling that something vital is missing, even when you have achieved all the successes the herd deems desirable. You might have the perfect job, the ideal family, the approved lifestyle, but inside, a quiet despair whispers, "Is this all there is?" This is the price of sacrificing your unique will to power for the comfort of conformity. Consider the societal consequences. When the herd mentality dominates, innovation stagnates. True breakthroughs rarely come from consensus. They emerge from the daring, often unpopular insights of individuals who defy convention. If society actively discourages such deviation, if it subtly punishes those who dare to think differently, then progress becomes incremental, predictable, and ultimately uninspired. We become a society of last men, content with our small comforts, our trivial entertainments, and our collective mediocrity. The grand challenges of our time, the profound questions that demand radical solutions, are left unaddressed because the collective lacks the courage, the vision, or the will to transcend its own comfortable limitations. Look at the pervasive fear of failure in modern culture. We are taught to avoid mistakes, to play it safe, to stick to proven paths. This is a direct consequence of the herd's aversion to risk and its worship of security. But true growth, true learning, often comes from pushing boundaries, from daring to fail, from embracing the struggle. When failure is stigmatized, when the pursuit of excellence is replaced by the avoidance of error, individuals become paralyzed. They choose the comfortable weakness of inaction over the potential for growth that comes with risk. This leads to a generation of individuals who are competent but not exceptional, safe but not truly alive. The price of ignorance is also the rise of what Nietzsche called ressentiment within ourselves. When we suppress our own unique drives, our own will to power, and conform to values that are not truly our own, that suppressed energy doesn't simply disappear. It can fester, turning into bitterness, envy, and a subtle hostility towards those who do dare to live authentically. We might find ourselves subtly criticizing others' ambition, dismissing their achievements, or finding fault with their unconventional choices. This is the internal manifestation of the herd's resentment towards the exceptional, now turned inward, poisoning our own spirit. Furthermore, this ignorance leaves us vulnerable to manipulation. When we outsource our values and our sense of self to the collective, we become easily swayed by popular opinion, by charismatic figures who promise comfort and security, and by narratives that appeal to our lowest common denominators. We lose the capacity for independent critical thought, for discerning truth from popular sentiment. This makes us susceptible to demagoguery, to propaganda, and to the very forces that seek to control and exploit the masses. The comfortable weakness of the herd becomes a fertile ground for those who would wield power over the unthinking many. The most tragic consequence is the loss of meaning. Nietzsche believed that true meaning is not found in external validation or collective approval, but in the individual's creative act of self-overcoming, in the pursuit of their highest potential, in the affirmation of their own unique values. When we surrender to the herd, we surrender this profound source of meaning. Life becomes a series of prescribed steps, a pursuit of externally defined goals, rather than a passionate, self-directed journey of becoming. The result is a widespread spiritual malaise, a sense of aimlessness, even amidst material abundance. This is the profound price of ignorance, a life lived within invisible chains, a potential left unrealized, a spirit dulled by conformity. It is the tragedy of the last man, who, content in his comfortable weakness, never knows the exhilarating heights of true self-mastery. But this does not have to be your fate. For in understanding this price, you gain the power to choose a different path. Part 5. The Path Forward. Reclaiming Your Power. We have journeyed through the unsettling depths of Nietzsche's philosophy, confronting the insidious psychology of the herd and the devastating price of its ignorance. Now, we arrive at the most crucial part of our exploration, the path forward. For understanding this brutal lesson is not about succumbing to despair or embracing nihilism. It is about reclaiming your power through a profound act of self-overcoming. The power you gain is not the power to dominate others, but the power to dominate yourself, to master your own impulses, to forge your own values, and to become the architect of your own destiny. It is the power to transcend the comfortable weakness of the herd and to affirm your unique, individual will to power. This awareness empowers you to be a more authentic, more resilient, and ultimately, a more fulfilled human being. How does this translate into actionable insights? First, cultivate a radical self-honesty. Begin to question every value, every belief, every aspiration that you hold. Ask yourself, is this truly my value? or is it something I have inherited from the herd? Is this desire genuinely mine, or is it a reflection of what society tells me I should want? This process of self-interrogation, though uncomfortable, is the first step towards shedding the invisible chains of conformity. It is the beginning of creating your own values, rather than merely adopting those of others. Second, embrace discomfort and struggle. The herd seeks comfort and avoids pain at all costs. But Nietzsche understood that true growth, true strength, is forged in the crucible of challenge. Seek out experiences that push your boundaries, that force you to confront your weaknesses, that demand effort and perseverance. Whether it's pursuing a difficult skill, engaging in challenging intellectual debates, or simply enduring the discomfort of standing alone in your convictions, these acts of self-overcoming are essential. They are the exercises that strengthen your will and liberate you from the soft tyranny of ease. Third, cultivate your unique excellence. The herd aims for the average. You must aim for your highest self. Identify your unique talents, your deepest passions, your most radical ideas, and pursue them relentlessly, even if they are unconventional or unpopular. Do not dim your light to fit in. Instead, let it shine brightly, knowing that true greatness often stands apart. This doesn't mean being arrogant or dismissive of others, but rather being uncompromising in your pursuit of your own potential. Your excellence is not a threat to others, but an inspiration, a testament to what is possible when one dares to defy the gravitational pull of mediocrity. Fourth, learn to distinguish between genuine compassion and the weakness of pity. Nietzsche was not against compassion, but he warned against a pity that disempowers, that keeps individuals in a state of dependency and weakness. True compassion, in a Nietzschean sense, is about empowering others to overcome their own challenges, to find their own strength, rather than simply alleviating their suffering without fostering growth. Apply this to your own life. Are you truly helping yourself and others, or are you enabling comfortable weakness? Finally, understand that this path is solitary, but not lonely. To transcend the herd is to walk a path less traveled, to forge your own way. You may find yourself misunderstood, even criticized, by those who remain within the comfortable confines of conformity. But in this solitude, you will discover a profound sense of self-reliance, an inner strength that is impervious to external validation. You will find your true companions not among the many, but among the few who also dare to live authentically, who also strive for self-overcoming. This is the liberating truth. You are not condemned to the comfortable weakness of the herd. You possess an innate will to power, a drive to grow, to create, to become more than you are. Nietzsche's philosophy is not a blueprint for a new society, but a profound call to individual awakening. It is an invitation to shed the invisible chains, to break free from the psychological prison, and to embark on the exhilarating, terrifying, and ultimately deeply meaningful journey of becoming who you truly are. The world will continue to pull you towards conformity, to offer you the illusion of safety in exchange for your soul. But now, you see the mechanism. You understand the price, and you have the power to choose. Will you remain a comfortable member of the herd, or will you dare to become an individual, a creator of your own values, a master of your own destiny? The choice and the power is now yours.